Hey, it's TDA, and it's a brand new day, as you can see, because my beavers are going back to work. Last time around, I built a way too large farm, I think, actually. We also made sure we have a lot of oak production coming up. All in all, it's a pretty solid foundation, I think, in terms of the early game. But now I really want to start playing around with some water, because, you know, we have a little bit of a dam going on here. We definitely want to make sure we have more control on this water even than what we currently have. Now there's actually a couple of different ways I could go about this. I could just replace this dam with a better version, but I'm thinking that I should do that over here just to make sure that everything I'm currently building in terms of food production as well as the wood production over here stays alive even in a longer drought. In order to do that, I'm gonna have to unlock a couple of things. Let's start with unlocking, I don't know, the levee. This is going to completely block off things from my from the water, so I could use that, for example, over here in the corner, something like that. Actually, that is not in the correct place, is it? Nope, it is not, but it's okay. I want that there anyway. I was trying to start on the side. Oh, so there we go. And in order to start building this, I am just going to build a little bit of a bridge in here as well, just to make sure my beavers can reach the water. Now, this is going to be a temporary thing, but if I don't build this, why is this now? Oh, this is a red because it's so far away. Is that what we're looking at? That makes sense, I guess, but it's not going to be a problem. I'm not in any rush or anything like that. But yeah, it is quite far away from my my main place. A beaver is injured, so well, we have a bed for you. So go and rest for a bit. There you go. Yes, that's nice. Okay, so we are going to build a little bit of a block here. And then what I'm going to need, as soon as I have enough research for that, is a floodgate. So we can really control the height of the water all the way through my building area. In the meanwhile, look at this, we're grilling our first potatoes. We're not going to boil them, mash them, or stick them in the stew. No, we're going to be grilling them for some reason. But anyway, yeah, that's working like intended. I have a bit of a warehouse setup over here for the potatoes. Now, I'm actually wondering if this is the correct way to do it. I have a central food storage over here where I'm stocking up all my food. I am way overproducing berries, by the way, so I should probably shut that down as long as we have so much berries going, because this is just... it's a little bit ridiculous, honestly. Same goes for the carrots. I'm overproducing pretty much everything at this point, but give me a break. I am playing this for the first time. This is literally my first game of Timberborn, but yeah, I should have done a little bit more math on this, although it's quite hard to do math if you don't know exactly how much stuff is being produced. But anyway, back on our dam over here, the logs are incoming. The first levee is actually up and running already. I should have enough, I think, almost, for the floodgate, just a little bit times more. Something else I've noticed is that the forester actually is so productive, especially if I'm just placing down oaks, which take a very long time to be replaced, that I can probably put down some more trees. I'm just going to put down some maple trees over here. I'm not entirely sure yet what I'm going to do with those, but we can make some other food stuff out of that, so it's probably never a bad thing to have a little bit of a variety. Speaking of which, I'm also thinking that maybe I should be replacing some of my, I don't know, either my potatoes or my carrots, maybe a little bit of both, with sunflowers. Now, I probably need to delete my original plants first, so let me do that. Let me just take out this row of potatoes over here and then replace those with carrots. And yeah, speaking of overproduction, I really got the balance wrong between these birch trees, although I'm not entirely sure why you guys are not like just harvesting those. I mean, come on. I mean, they're water, they're healthy. Why are you not going for those? I actually have no idea. But anyway, these guys are not doing anything right now. Well, they should be cutting down trees. What I should have done is place more birch, I think, or at least some other tree that grows a little faster than the oak. Now this is going to be a short-term problem because my oaks are close to actually being ready. Once they are, this is going to provide me with a bunch of logs, and then they will have plenty of stuff to do while they wait for the new oaks to be sown. So yeah, all in all, not too bad, but definitely something that's worth optimizing later on, because right now this is just impeding my dam production, because I am waiting for stuff to be actually produced in terms of logs. Now what I could do I just realized is actually start logging in some other areas where I have a lot of trees up and running already. Okay, these ones are paused, and I'm going to be building a couple of other of these lumberjack flags. Again, I should really have removed the other ones, I guess, that I built before. You know, it doesn't take that long to build these, but yeah, I really need to think in a larger scope in this particular game, and a more flexible scope than what you usually have in production games, where you just set up a production line and that's it. And there we go, the dam is now ready. Now I'm actually producing some of that logs and planks again. And now the real question is, how high can I put this without overflooding my area? So I'm gonna put it down to 80. Let's see what that does. I'm actually not entirely sure how high these are. I mean, this looks like something like 80% as well. It's about this, the current height of the water. Let's compare. Let's compare. Yeah. I mean, this looks pretty much the same. Can we put it higher? Let's try that out and see what happens. Now, I definitely don't want my my area to overflow, but I would like it to fill up almost to the edge if I can manage that. Okay, 90 was too much because now I have flooding, so that is not what I want. So let me put it back down to 85. I think that should be the sweet spot. Let's see, am I still having floods? No, the flood, well, yes, maybe. The flooding seems to be slowly disappearing, although, well, I say that. Is this? No, yeah, there we go. So the flooding goes away. There's a drought incoming, so this is a perfect timing to test out how this works. But yeah, I think pretty much we got into the maximum level. Now what I could do is decouple this rather than synchronizing it and have this be a little bit higher. But I don't think that's going to matter too much because in the end the maximum height is still going to be that 85% or so. Actually, it might be slightly higher because it would allow more water through. Let's just stick with this and see how it works for the moment. Something else I really should be doing at this point, I think, is build a hauling post, because I have a lot of workers that don't have anything in particular to do, and I want them to spend their time on running around and carrying my stuff with 100% efficiency. At least that sounds like a good thing to do. Now, where do I build this? I'm just going to building this on top of this warehouse over here, because this is where all my stuff is, and yeah, let's make it a little bit prettier by putting a couple of platforms. And then we'll have like a little stairs going down. I am completely butchering the aesthetics of this, and next time around when I'm doing another run through, because I do need to do this once more once I get a hang of this game, I am going to have to take a lot of things into consideration to make this look prettier from the get-go. But anyway, for now it seems to be working. And we are up to 31 beavers already, and this is also why we have such a large workforce. Now the real question is, what am I going to be using that workforce for? Yeah, actually, let's just do that right now. I was just thinking about making a better warehouse over here and then running into an issue that I couldn't fit in stairs and things like that. I really don't like the looks of this either, but there's nothing really stopping me from just taking a couple of things down and doing it all over again. I mean, we're not under a time crunch. There's no, well, there is some wasted resources probably, but that's not the end of the world. We are in the middle of a drought. We have all the water we need. Long story short, there's really no reason not to just have fun and play around a little bit with our designs. Okay, so first of all, let's think about storage for a moment. I have this nice open area over here, and what I have in mind should be something that fits in this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take out this thing over here for a moment. We'll rebuild it at some point. But yeah, let's clear that out, and let's have some storage units. We could go for a larger warehouse. But I think, honestly, 1200 resources is a little bit of overkill. What I want to do... Let's see, 1, 2, 3... Yeah, so let's go like this. And then have another one like that, and then one like that, and one like that. Now, this by itself is not that interesting. This is basically... this is basically just 4 warehouses on the ground. But what I can do... if I've done my math correctly, let's see, we can put some warehouses on top of here. Now, in order to reach these warehouses, what I'm going to have to do is put down some... Did I do my math correctly? I do think it's... I think it's fine. We're going to need some stairs. I'm going to put those stairs over here. And we can have some platforms going like this. Like this. And like this. Now this by itself is still not really impressive yet, but I can easily expand this with another layer of storage on top of this. Something like that. And then have stairs going to that without the stairs getting into each other's way, because I can get the stairs in the middle of this thing and have it look really open, really flexible. The beaver should be able to get around very easily. And yeah, what I can do now also is, by the way, I can, for example, say, let's have our carrots being stored over here. And let's start emptying out this warehouse so that all the carrots go in here rather than in here. Then we can free up this space as well. As a side note, while I'm building this, look at all that beautiful water working exactly like intended. And look at those beautiful oak trees, by the way. We have all the logs we're going to need for a very, very long time. Ta-da! There we go. This looks a lot better, and it will look even much better than that if I start taking out all these random little starter warehouses that I built. I can collapse some of these platforms. I can probably do that a lot more efficiently if I actually use the tools for that. There we go. Yes, I definitely want to delete that. And I also want to delete this stuff over here. Just cleaning up a little bit because we're going to be placing that in a more obvious position. Now, second project is going to be our housing over here, because I want to make this a little bit more in that flat that I mentioned in the earlier episode. Actually, I kind of don't mind how this looks. It looks pretty clean if you do it like this, but this is not really scalable. Something else might be. In order to make my building projects a little bit more viable, I built a secondary lumber mill because we're going to need a lot of planks. And look at this. This is a lot cleaner and more professional looking. So I have a 3-story living quarters over here that actually fits more beavers than what I had built before. And I completely removed the line that was over here. And honestly, we can probably expand on this a little bit further. How about we build a couple of rooftop terraces on top of here? Because, you know, it's actually on the rooftop and they should have a pretty awesome view of everything that there is around. And there we go. We have a couple of rooftop terraces. This is way more than I need probably, but it just looks really cool. And I also put a roof on here. I needed to unlock that with some more science points. We have plenty of those by now. This all took a moment to build. And the nice thing is, every time I think these beavers pass through this area, they are going to be made happy by the fact that there's a roof over here. Let's see if that actually works. Yeah, look, it passed right past the roof, and it's now very happy that it saw our roof. So I could probably abuse that by the fact that all my beavers live over here. So maybe I can put down some, I don't know, some decorations over here, and they're going to all pass right past that. Maybe even somewhere along these stairs actually, and that should make them really happy. And as you can see, I'm still up to 9, even though I destroyed a couple of those happiness buildings that we had before. Something else I really like about this design is that I can very easily, for example, just take some more housing and then just mirror the entire building over here on this floor. And that would literally allow me to have probably close to, how much space do I have now? 70. Yeah, so I could be filling about 70 beavers just by building in this area alone. And then, of course, I could easily repeat that somewhere else. That just proves that by building vertically, we can save a lot of space. And as you can see, my little warehouse over here, even though I could add some storage to that, I don't know even what I'm going to be storing here for the moment. So yeah, I did build actually a hauling post over here. Like I said, I think it's nice to have a couple of these guys just running around, being more efficient about doing that as well. And speaking about being efficient, I have way more food production than I need, so I could probably start expanding my beavers a little bit further. But what I also kind of want to do is diversifying even more than I already am. I am building some of these sunflowers over here. I think I should probably add some more sunflowers to the mix, considering I am still way overproducing my carrots. So let's go ahead and do that. What I also want to do is kind of repurpose some of this stuff over here because I have way more food production than what I can reasonably do with potatoes. You can see my grill over here is actually not doing anything, even though I have hundreds of potatoes in storage already, just because I'm producing way more than I need. So let's cut down some of the potatoes I have over here. I'm also going to reassign where my efficient farmhouse is placed because I want it to be a little bit more symmetric than it currently is. Does that matter? No. Is it efficient to rebuild everything that I already had? Nope. But aesthetics, man, aesthetics do matter. On a different note, I'm currently trying to survive a 5-day drought. The drought is getting a lot longer, but as you can see, my water is still at about 50%, so with about 2 days to go, it's still really not a problem to survive even a longer drought like that. And with that farmhouse now in a nicer position, I can complete my little wheat farm over here. Now, I do need to actually start working on doing something with this wheat, of course. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to unlock a couple of new buildings, I believe. So let's see. We are going to need a bakery, probably. What does this bakery need? It needs something that I don't know what it is. So I can turn flour, I guess that's flour, into bread or a couple of other things. That's interesting. And we produce that by first putting it into the grist mill. So let me see if I can build myself a little factory over here that does all of that. Let's look at the math here. In order to make some of that flour, or whatever it's called, we need a grist mill, and that is going to produce 1 flour every half an hour. If I look at the bakery, we are going to use that flour, and we are going to need an hour to turn it into bread. So we're going to need 2 bakeries to fully utilize 1 grist mill. Now, can we actually fully utilize 1 grist mill? I have no idea, but considering I have a lot of wheat, I'm gonna assume the answer to that question is yes. Do we need a grill for anything? Doesn't look like it. We could also at some point build a beehive, actually. Okay, focus, TDA, focus. Let's start with the grist mill setup. Now, we also need a little bit of storage, and we are able to build stuff on top of that storage. I don't think... Let me double check. No, we're not going to be building anything on top of the bakery, nor are we going to be building anything on the grist mill. So what I'm thinking now is, let's build the grist mill and bakery on top of the warehouses and see if we can kind of make that fit in such a way that it looks nice and clean. Okay, so my first thought was to do something similar like I did before with the warehouses, but honestly, because the bakery it's the same size, but it has the entrance in a different direction, I'm gonna need to be a little bit more creative than this. So how about something like this? I have 2 bakeries and a grist mill, so I have the perfect ratio there, but I also have the grill over here now, along with some storage for the normal potatoes, as well as the grilled potatoes, so I can completely get rid of this. I actually have some additional storage space for those potatoes that I'm producing. I also have some storage space for the bread that I'm going to be producing, as well as the wheat that I'm bringing in. Now, I don't have any storage space for the flour, but that's an intermediate product, so the bottleneck is actually growing the stuff. As long as I have some storage of the wheat itself, if I'm backlogged in whatever way, then the actual production of the grist mill itself is not going to be the bottleneck, because the bakery should be able to keep up with the grist mill. So, long story short, this looks pretty good. I am going to need some gears again to build this. So I am also going to add another production building to the mix. And that is then, where is it? Where is it? I keep forgetting where it is. It's over here, right? Yeah, there it is. I am going to be building another gear workshop again, because I replaced the old one, remember, with a second lumber mill. And that does mean that I'm going to need some more power, because I don't think this can entirely keep up. Well, the flow is actually really strong at the moment, so maybe there's no immediate need to do so. However, if I do want to increase the power output of my my little water wheel over here, I don't necessarily need to build another water wheel. I can just improve the flow of this water through here. It's still a little weird to me every now and then how the water is warping in and out. I think that's something because I'm building, but yeah, let's see. We can. Oh, that's actually, yeah, it is because I'm building. There we go. Then that means that we should do something like this. I'm not actually sure if I need a path to build a water wheel, but I'm actually not going to be building water wheels. What I'm talking about, I am going to be building some dams. Now, let's see. If I put a levee or 2 over here, maybe, and then maybe even Well, we might actually be able to get away with 3 levies like this. Then what I'm hoping that will happen is that that increases the throughput of water through this area over here, and that should then hopefully increase the power output of this thing. So right now the power output is about 175-ish. It goes up and down a little bit, but if we start building some levees over here, that should increase. Something like this. Now every time I place down one of these levees, there is a little bit of flooding happening initially, so I'm definitely making this interesting for myself in terms of flooding danger. But as you can see, the power is now up to 230-ish, 220-ish. And as you can see, that is exactly the demand, or it's actually a little bit more than the demand I need. So I'm not going to risk building anything else on top of here. As long as this is working, that is fine by me. Would you look at that, so beautiful, and I can slowly start emptying this warehouse, and I can also probably pause this grill so I have the worker available once again. But I also need some power to my grist mill, something I kind of forgot. So I am now building another water wheel. This is going to supply hopefully enough power. I actually didn't check. How much power do you need? Only 60. Yeah, this is going to be plenty. And then some of these shafts in order to make sure the power gets to the second level. I needed to unlock the vertical shaft to do that. But yeah, all in all, this looks pretty awesome actually, and it's starting to really come together now. And there we go, this looks awesome, I have to say. I really like this improvement over what we had before. I am going to be producing a lot of stuff now. We already have some of that bread incoming. As you can see, it's flowing in quite nicely. Of course, now I just started in another drought, so this water wheel is not going to be doing a lot in a moment. But yeah, 7 days of drought is going to be a nice test again, to see if we can survive that. But yeah, look at all of this. It is so awesome. It looks a lot cleaner. It actually looks like we have some civilization going. There's still a little bit of mess going on with some of these inventors. My water production is kind of haphazard. This section in general could use some improvement, I think. But yeah, getting there. And look at that, we are at 12 happiness now, which honestly is getting pretty close to unlocking the second faction. And I just realized that there's actually a really good reason not to want to store the wheat, because the gristmill is not going to be functioning if I don't have power. I can still grow wheat, I can still bake bread, but the wheat itself is actually going to be transformed into bread while we're waiting for the water to once again rise back up. So, or start flowing again, I should say, because oh, look, the water is still here. Long story short, it is the one thing that we don't want to store. So I kind of accidentally, while designing this, made, I think, the optimal decision there what not to store. Now the real question is, where do I go from here? Because it feels like I have a pretty stable thing going on. I have infinite logs, I can make all the base materials that I need to construct my buildings, I have plenty of housing, I can double up on the housing if I need to, I have all the food in the world, at least it feels like it, and yeah, well, speaking of food actually, I could make myself some beehives. I have plenty of science, that's not a problem. Oh, that is not what I wanted to do. But let me see. Can we see the range on these beehives? That is actually not all that big. Well, I guess it's fine. But what we can do is maybe put one down in the middle, like over there, for example. And then a similar one on the same side on this side. Then we have boosted potatoes and we have boosted wheat. Let's go for that. Yeah, that wasn't my brightest moment. I actually need paper in order to build these things. Not sure what you need paper for to build a beehive. I guess it's building the little things inside. But yeah, I'm thinking maybe I should just get rid of this whole area of berries. I mean, I'm not really using my berries all that much. I do have berries over here. So what I could do is get this gatherer flag over here just in case I need more berries for whatever reason, and yeah, clear this area out and make a little bit of a production facility over there. Okay, not gonna lie, this feels a little scary, but yeah, let's just clear this out. We can always replant these things if we really need to. I'm also going to delete this flag over here. I am going to put up a flag just because I don't know, I don't want to lose out on resources, I guess. Honestly, oh, that actually kind of fits nicely here in the corner. Is that the best place to put it? Probably not. But yeah, it's going to be fine. Now this is going to take me a minute to clear it out. We're sitting through the drought anyway. How are we doing on water? We're doing just fine. So yeah. And while I'm waiting for all of this to be cleared out, I'm going to build some additional housing because I have plenty of food. I might as well get some more beavers going so we have more workers to actually do all those jobs we're going to be adding. I'm getting into a little bit of an issue with my beavers dying faster than my new beavers are growing up, and so that is also a reason to add some more, I guess, production of beavers, so to say. But that's an interesting problem to have. So you definitely need to keep an eye on how many beavers you have versus how many you are employing. Although it is a little bit skewed at the moment because I am in a drought. Some of my buildings are being manned, but they're not actually working. I could pause them, probably should pause them. What I did really like about this game is there's no stress whatsoever. So, I mean, assuming you can actually get rid of the drought, but it looks like we're going to be fine. I mean, the water is about 2/3 down. We're over 2/3 through this very long drought. I'm gonna be fine, but I'm actually not sure what the maximum length of those droughts are. I mean, if they get up to, I don't know, 12 days or something, that will be a problem. But other than that, I think this is working all like intended. Not sure if we can actually make this deeper, because that would definitely solve that problem for a longer drought as well. There we go. I have this all cleared out, or mostly cleared out anyway. The baby production is up and running, so to speak. And let's see. I want pretty much all the wood production things in here. Well, maybe not all of it, but most of it for sure. Probably not going to have enough science to unlock all of it. But we can do the paper mill and maybe the printing press, although I'm not entirely sure what the printing press does. Is that like stuff they want? Do they want books? Yeah, they definitely want books. What else is it going to produce? It's at something else as well, right? Books and schematics or something? I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, let me figure out how to place this. Do we want some storage in there as well, or do we just keep that here? We could probably just keep that there. Let's see how much space I actually need. Also, a little bit of an update on the drought. It's about to finish, and as you can see, we are getting pretty low on water, but it is still doing fine. And remember, things don't dry out instantly, so you do have a little bit of drought resistance. Not for too long, though, but still, we have a bit of safety margin there. So I think we could probably survive a 10-day drought without too many things happening. The water situation seems to be fine. So all in all, pretty solid. I'm moving my inventors up here just to make sure this looks a little cleaner as well. And that gives me even more room to work with over here. I'm gonna start out with setting up some large piles for storage. It's pretty much going to be identical to what I have over here. And if you're wondering why I put those slightly off the road, it'll make sense in just a moment, but I'm gonna focus on the actual production buildings first. Okay, so I'm actually going to start out with something like this, and this is not too impressive, I have to be honest. It's pretty much the same I have over here with the addition of a paper mill, but I just figured out, again, I didn't check the resources up front, that the printing press needs metal blocks, which I don't have at the moment, and I don't really have the science to unlock that either. What I do have unlocked now is, where is it, power? Yes, I have windmills unlocked. I kind of wanted the larger ones, but these are super expensive to unlock. But the normal windmills are actually really cheap to produce, so I figured, why not build a couple of windmills like this? Now, this is not symmetric, and I hate that, so I am going to take these out. Apparently, we do need to space these out a little bit. So let's go with something like this. We can't make it symmetric because apparently there's 3 blocks in between. But anyway, yeah, that doesn't actually look better. Let me place that back. But the idea here is that by placing down these windmills, I can actually keep producing my resources while I'm in the middle of a drought, unlike what I had before. Okay, there we go. We have the windmill up and running. It is definitely producing a kind of a random amount of power because it was just producing over 100 power. Now it's down to 46. So it's not the most stable way to power your buildings, I guess. So I should probably kind of like supplementing this with water power, which makes sense in a game that is all about water. But it does feel nice to have a little bit of backup power. And if I have 3 of these all producing 46 horsepower, then at least I can power 1 or 2 of my buildings at full speed. Okay, and just as I said that, apparently the wind drops to 0 and we are not producing any power whatsoever from these things. So yeah, definitely need some water power to go along with this. And there we go, look at this. This is all interconnected power supply, so now I'm actually producing almost 1,000 horsepower. Well, I only need a third of that, but you know, as long as it keeps working. I put some floodgates in here to make sure that the water goes into kind of like this direction. This is not the cleanest build ever, but it does work perfectly fine, and now we're producing some paper. So as you can see, I also have my beehives up and running. Now, how much are these boosting my crop production by? No one knows. Well, the wiki probably knows, but it's a little bit annoying that the game doesn't really tell you any of that, I have to admit. But look, they do look really cute. So I was kind of hoping that we would get a resource out of this as well, like honey, for example, or something like that. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Okay, and since I'm pre-recording this, by the time you see this, there's probably like 5,000 comments telling me I'm doing something really stupid here, because these beavers want to have wet fur, and so far I've been doing that with these showers, but there's a much easier way of doing that, I just realized, and that is actually just by deleting this bridge. And well, yeah, we are deleting the route, but we're definitely also deleting the bridge. And now what we're going to do is just put down the stairs like this, put down the stairs like that, and then having the path go like that. It is that simple. They will move through the water to the other side, so any beaver that is going to deliver any food or is bringing the food from the food supply over here to the store is just going to go through the water, get wet, and be happy about it. And I can actually do the same thing in this secondary location over here, because as you can see, there are definitely beavers traveling back and forth here, and we have the floodgates over there. So by, again, just deleting this little layout, we can improve and just make our entire base a little bit more efficient and make the beavers even happier. We have a bad tide approaching, which means we're going to have bad water incoming, and that is going to pollute all of this water, if I understand that correctly. So now what I want to do as soon as I can is actually block this off, so we can, well, maybe even block this off, so we can really block the water from coming into our base and hopefully survive like that. But we are going to have to hurry, because we only have 3 days to do all of that. Honestly, this could turn out to be a disaster, but what I'm thinking is that if I block over this water here, then, and I should probably do that with floodgates, so I can make sure I can raise and lower and raise this. Basically have the clean water in here and then block the bad water out. That bad water also needs to go somewhere. So, I don't know, maybe I can extend this path a little bit, like this, and then build a thingy in here, and then we could try to demolish this blockage over here. I'm not sure if I need to build a path for that. Probably yes. So let's do that like so. And by doing that, the bad water can escape through here, which I don't really care about at the moment. And then I can make sure that the good water stays in here. Now, is this actually going to work? I have no idea, and honestly I would have preferred to block the water over here, but I don't think I have the time to do all of that. Well, it actually only took me a day to build these floodgates, so now at least we have a way of blocking out some of the water. Because I went so fast, I'm trying to build another row of floodgates over here to really block out it completely, but I definitely need it to be able to go somewhere, so I'm trying to unblock this as well. I should probably do this and make sure I have a more, what do you say, capacity to flow this into a different direction. The interesting thing is this is actually going to fertilize this area as well, so long term this was actually something I was thinking about doing anyway. But yeah. It looks like my beavers are going to try to build this second array of floodgates as well. If we can get these ones up, I don't think... I'm actually wondering, do I need to... Can the water kind of flow diagonally? I don't think it can, so this should hopefully block it out. If I can get this up, I can just raise the floodgates over here, and hopefully the rest of this area will be able to absorb all the water incoming and then just flow it out elsewhere. If this is going to flood, it is going to be a problem, but yeah, we'll have to deal with that if and when that happens. I'm actually gonna work my beavers as long as I can. Well, maybe not 24 hours. Let's put it to 20, just to optimize the time I have available until this flood reaches me. Oh man, so close. We are about to get the bad tide, and this this whole thing is almost up and running, but not completely. So I'm not going to be able to finish this. It also seems that the beavers every now and then don't really optimize that efficiently in terms of bringing goods and building it. I only have 4 builders, so which is probably part of the problem if you're trying to do something fast at long range. But yeah, this area has been cleared out, so the water can get out. So that is nice. We're going to have to see what happens once the flood comes in. Okay, so we have that bad water now incoming. It is going to mix with the good water, so it will take a minute for the water to actually be polluted. I think this is probably when I raise the floodgates. Yes, maybe, no? I don't know. Let's find out. Maybe not just yet. Let's wait until the actual polluted water comes over here. We might be able to fix just a little bit more of this floodgate. I mean, it's just the 2 pieces left. It's 1.5 piece left to build, actually. Oh, wow. I just realized there's another area over here where I could kind of like dispose of this bad water. Oh, if I had known that before, maybe I can actually do that at the same time. If we can unblock this area as well, even if it's just with a single piece. Is this going to go down? It's the same height, but at least the water has more places to go, and it can go down here as well. It's going to be stuck here, so I'm not sure if this is going to be all that efficient. I think the water might be able to go out here. I actually don't know for sure. But yeah, the polluted water is now incoming. I am going to raise these floodgates to make sure that the water is going to go as much as possible in that direction. And then we're going to have to see what happens. Speaking of which, I actually don't know if this hurts my beavers. I mean, it's bad water. You would assume it's not good for the beavers. They don't seem to have, like, hit points or something like that. Not sure if they can swim through it. But yeah, just by all means, complete this. This is definitely going to help, because that just means that there's only a single area over here where this bad water can flow through. I just realized, and this is in hindsight just my inexperience with this game, that these floodgates are not going to be doing all that much because it flows down here, but the maximum height of these floodgates is the same height as where the water is coming in. So this is probably not going to work like I hoped. Now, if we can actually finish this one, I do think that that one is actually going to block the bad water out of my main zone. Let's see if we're now in a death spiral or if we can actually survive. Now, the good thing is this bad water tide is only going to be very short, so from that perspective, it's not the end of the world if we do get a little bit of bad water in here. As you can see, every now and then when we get a new tide in, this area actually overflows for a short moment as well. Not entirely sure what is causing that. It feels like there's an additional amount of water initially incoming before we can really block that off. Now, the beavers don't seem to be harmed by the bad water, so I guess that's a good thing. They definitely do want to go back to sleep, though. I think we can put this back down to 18 hours, just to make sure that we're not pushing them too much long term. But yeah, the bad water is definitely coming through, so it's not entirely working like I was hoping. Oh well, at least something is going to go according to plan, because the bad water is flowing out in this direction at least. So that's definitely part of the plan successful. For now, it doesn't seem like the bad water is doing too much. I have plenty of spare water in my tanks over here. I have plenty of food already produced. Now, these crops are probably not going to be too happy about this bad tide. But I think we have the last... Yeah, the last logs are coming in over here. So hopefully... Why are you guys running off? I mean, all the material is there. Go fix it. There we go. Now this is... Yeah, now it's closed off. This is falling dry, so the bad water is actually not flowing out. I might want to open the floodgates as... Yeah, no, not the other way. Let's drain the water out as fast as I can. And make sure that as soon as we have the good water flowing back in, and that should be happening now, we replace the bad water we allowed through as quickly as possible with the good water that we now have available. Okay, so there's the good water. Let's lower the floodgates once again, just completely lowering them. There's no reason to not do that, I think. Yeah, all the crops are dead. That makes sense, because there was no fresh water to... Well, they're not dead, actually. They were able to survive, but that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Let's make sure we drain out that bad water as quickly as we can. As you can see, it is mixing in. I really like these fluid dynamics, by the way. It's so nice and clean. Well, this is not clean, but you get what I mean. The little lake that we created over here is also definitely doing its job. There's a lot of water flowing out there. And it's actually, oh wow, it's flowing all the way over there. Not entirely sure that is what I want. But then again, I can always just block this off again. Yeah, so long story short, we definitely have some water control to do, but by the looks of it, I think this episode is growing pretty long already, so I am going to end this episode right here. Next episode, we're going to fix this water situation a little bit better. Well, actually, it's not that bad, but we definitely need to add in some storage, and then I'm going to think about what I'm going to do with all of these dams and things like that long term. Meanwhile, if you're still here, you are awesome, and I definitely hope to catch you in the next one.